Welcome to part 2 of Mysteries and Mayhem, Flicker.
This original comic book story contains characters, locations, etc., set inside the short story universe. Also, the Mysteries and Mayhem stories are open-ending.
Meaning, the stories were written without an actual ending. Thus, you the listener must figure out the ending or endings of the stories yourself. In a sense, the story ends the way you see it.
In addition, the Mysteries and Mayhem stories are great for viewers/subscribers learning character development, character arc, story structure, etc. To enjoy this story, please turn on CC closed captions. Next, envision a fantasy-looking city with destroyed buildings because of a recent attack by a fierce tribe called Conga Fairyens. The futuristic-looking trolley trains were unharmed during the attack. The city has high-tech/fantasy weapons scattered all over the city. Plus, militant robots patrolled the city under the orders to clean up/sanitize the area. Okay, hopefully by now you have your reading snacks on hand as you listen, learn, and enjoy part 2 of Mysteries and Mayhem, Flicker. City of San Holiton/United Scientists Association/Outer Site C/the Selectees meet Axe. Welcome to Site C, said Axe as the Selectees entered the room. The Selectees cheered and applauded. It's fantastic to see Ryan back again, said Axe. Yup, said Ryan with a big smile on his face. It's great seeing all of you in person, said Axe.
Finally, said Franklin.
Finally, after over a month of chit-chats, said Axe. I totally loved our chit-chats, said Juniper.
I know, right, said Axe. The Terminator Twister, said Eric. Oh yes. Eric and Sahara recently mentioned that they were eyewitnesses to the Terminator Twister, said Axe. I'd love to hear this, said Carly. Well, Sahara and I grew up in the same neighborhood where the Terminator Twister touched down, said Eric. We were both teens when it happened, said Sahara. Just out of nowhere, this massive twister appeared, said Eric. The twister behaved like it had a mind of its own, said Sahara. Like it was sentient, under control, or something, said Eric. Fascinating, said Axe. It literally zigzagged across the street from house to house on the block, said Sahara. It missed one house, then suddenly it goes back down the street to rip that house apart, said Eric. How the heck, said AFK. After the twister destroyed all the houses on the block, it goes out into the middle of the street, and it starts dancing around, said Sahara. Wait, so the twister was dancing afterward, said Carly. Like the sort of dancing you see in video games, said Eric. It's an emote dance gamers do after getting an amazing kill, said AFK. I see, said Carly. I'm picturing a dancing tornado in my mind right now, said Juniper. Axe along with the Selectees burst into laughter. Okay, moving on from the Terminator Twister. It's time to introduce a very popular gamer. In fact, this gamer used to work here as a scientist. As a scientist, he designed and engineered the simulated environment chambers that you'll be entering today. He says he's got lots of fantastic gaming content coming soon. Please welcome Arcade Lovianu, said Axe. Outer Site C/the Selectees meet Arcade. The Selectees cheered and applauded. Hello, said Arcade as he walked out and stood next to Axe. Wait a second. Are you eating cinnamon winter mints? Asked Axe. My father got me hooked on them, said Arcade. We had a scientist who recently passed on to his next life and he loved those mints, said Axe. They're extremely addictive, said Arcade. Are they really? Asked Axe with the most curious look on her face. Okay, enough about cinnamon winter mints, said Axe. Again, Axe along with the Selectees all burst into laughter. I overheard the Terminator Twister story as I waited around the corner. Sure sounds like something right up my alley, said Arcade. Someone was controlling it, said Eric. Now, the random team name generated for your team is the Xtractors, said Arcade. Awesome, said Franklin. As a team, you'll face off against characters called Conga Fairyens. They're a fierce tribe of fairies. Sometimes called pixies, said Arcade. Are they heroes or villains? Asked AFK.
They're anti-heroes, actually, said Arcade.
Got it, said Ryan.
You'll run into creatures called Malaysian Marbletooth, said Arcade.
Who are they? Asked Carly.
They're cat-like creatures with various types of marble teeth, said Arcade. Hence the name Marbletooth, said Juniper.
Correct, said Arcade. They don't sound good, said Eric.
They're wild and ferocious, said Arcade. So, stay away from them, said Axe.
The Selectees all burst into laughter.
Next up are the Isis Nailu, said Arcade.
That's an awesome team name, said Sahara.
These are heroic, bird-like, people with dazzling ancient abilities, said Arcade. They'll be there when you need them, said AFK.
Perfect, said Carly.
Last on the list are evil aliens called Yellowbloods, said Arcade.
I remember them, said Ryan.
They use blink technology, said Arcade.
Wait, what? Said Juniper. Basically, they're here 1 minute then they blink away somewhere else.
Also, Yellowbloods abduct humans one by one and they replace human body parts with alien body parts, said Arcade.
Hey, wait a second, said Sahara. If we stick together as a team,
we'll be fine, said Franklin.
This is why I selected you as team leader, said Axe.
There you go, said Franklin.
The Selectees all laughed. Good luck and welcome to Site C, said Arcade. The Selectees cheered and applauded. Now it's time to change into your ADCs.
Advanced designer costumes, said Axe with the biggest smile on her face.
Afterward, you'll meet Lisa and she'll walk you through the simulated environment chambers, said Axe.
The Selectees playfully rushed off toward the changing chambers. Outer Site C/simulated environment chambers/ the Selectees meet Lisa. Hi, Team Xtractors, said Lisa with the biggest smile on her face.
The Selectees cheered and applauded. If you look over to your left, you'll see the simulated environment chambers, said Lisa.
Very futuristic looking, said Carly.
What about the chambers on the right? Asked Juniper.
Oh, those are called psychological chambers, said Lisa.
So, the crazy chambers, said AFK.
Hopefully no one needs to use those, said Ryan.
Please select a simulated environment chambers, said Lisa. The Selectees playfully entered the simulated environment chambers.
There's no turning back now, said Lisa.
Team Xtractors let out the loudest laughter.
Closing all doors, now, said Lisa as she pressed the screen on the high-tech tablet.
Yet, as soon as the doors to the chambers closed, they quickly reopened.
Outer Site C/simulated environment chambers/ electricity malfunction. What the heck is going on? Asked Dax as she and Lisa curiously gazed all around at the flickering overhead lights. It's some sort of electricity malfunction, said G.E.M 5.0 as he along with a small team of gems walked up and stood before Axe and Lisa. That's how it all starts, said Lisa. Suddenly, the lights went off. Next, a massive boom was heard near the rear wall of the laboratory.
A few screams were heard from the Selectees. Next, 2 Conga Fairyens named Darnus and Jalitha entered the massive hole in the rear wall.
Suddenly, all the lights came back on.
Conga Fairyens, said Axe with the most confused, yet curious look on her face.
Let go of me, now, shouted Lisa as Darnus and Jalitha held tightly onto her arm.
You ran away from the tribe, said Darnus.
King Aphrodis and Queen Walandi eagerly await your return, said Jalitha. Halt, shouted G.E.M 5.0 as he along with the other gems quickly removed their high-tech weapons. Outside of our mission, battling is what we Conga Fairyens do best, said Darnus.
I'd love to see your best, said G.E.M 5.0.
Go for it, said Jalitha as she held tightly onto Lisa's arm. Outer Site C/simulated environment chambers/ Darnus versus the Gems. I haven't had this much fun in years, said G.E.M 5.0 as he along with the other gems battled Darnus. Nice brain chips, said Darnus as he quickly typed on his high-tech wrist device with a wicked smirk on his face. Suddenly, G.E.M 5.0 and the other gems went into recharge mode. Houston, we have a hacked brain chip problem, said Axe as she gazed deep into G.E.M 5.0's eyes.
Any departing words? Asked Jalitha as she pointed a small futuristic knife toward the side of Lisa's neck.
Sure thing, said Lisa as she quickly gazed over at the selectees still inside the simulated environment chambers.
Well, said Jalitha. Terminus virtual, shouted Lisa.
Thus, the doors to each of the simulated environment chambers quickly opened.
You're not taking her, said Franklin as he along with the selectees exited the chambers. Not without a fight, said Ryan. Darnus quickly typed on his high-tech wrist device.
As you wish, said G.E.M 5.0 with an evil look on his face.
Oh boy, whispered Eric. Evil robots, whispered Sahara. The Xtractors, is it, said G.E.M 5.0.
Axe stood with her mouth wide open as she watched the intense, comic book action between the Xtractors versus the G.E.Ms. However, as a new team, they were no match against the G.E.Ms.
Training is the word of the day, said Darnus.
She's coming with us, said Jalitha as she and Darnus quickly flew off with Lisa through the hole near the rear wall of the laboratory.
Congaria /
home of the Conga Fairyens.
Well now, said Queen Walandi as she gazed deep in Lisa's eyes with a smirk on her face.
Well now, what, said Lisa as she struggled to free herself from Darnus and Jalitha's tight grip onto her arms.
Something is wrong with her, said Jalitha. Nothing is wrong with me, said Lisa.
She's under some sort of spell or something, said Darnus.
Mind control, maybe, said Jalitha. This is craziness, said Lisa. Do you know who you are? Asked Queen Walandi. My name is Lisa Young.
I'm a scientist at the United Scientists Association, Site C, said Lisa.
She's crazy, said Jalitha.
Ran away from the tribe, did we, said King Aphrodis as he entered the room.
There is no real tribe.
You're all pretending to be characters created in a simulated environment, said Lisa.
Is that so? Asked Queen Walandi.
So, none of what you see is real, correct, said King Aphrodis.
If these two will let go of me, then I'll talk, said Lisa.
King Aphrodis gestured over toward Darnus and Jalitha.
Thus, they quickly released their grip on Lisa. As I was saying, you're all a part of an act, a play or something, said Lisa. Really, said Queen Walandi. Who do you people think I am? Asked Lisa as she intensely gazed deep into everyone's eyes. Suddenly, a handsome, model-looking young man entered the room.
Darling, you finally returned home, said Fetcher. Holy smokes, whispered Lisa as she adoringly gazed over at Fetcher.
Do you remember anything now? Whispered Queen Walandi with a cute smirk on her face as she too gazed over at Fetcher.
I surely hope so, said Lisa.
Outer Sight C/Advanced Weapons. What happened? Asked G.E.M 5.0 with his hand on his head.
Your brain chip got hacked, said Axe.
Sure feels like it, said G.E.M 5.0. We need to locate Lisa and bring her back here, said Franklin.
You'll need weapons to accomplish this, said Axe as she typed on her high-tech tablet.
Suddenly, a wall lowered to the floor.
Thus, revealed a secret room filled with advanced weapons.
I'm not sure what's going on, but for some reason there are actual Conga Fairyens running around, said Axe. Where are the Conga Fairyens from? Asked Franklin.
In the simulated environment, Congaria. A tribal, fairy tale forest, is the home of the Conga Fairyens.
Can you get us to them? Asked Eric. We really want to do this, said Sahara.
We're a team now, said Juniper.
Heck yeah, said Carly.
As a new team, they cheered and applauded.
I placed a tracer on Jalitha, said Axe as she quickly typed on her high-tech tablet. What's a tracer? Whispered Carly. A fancy tracking device, whispered AFK. Cool, whispered Carly. Each of your wrist devices should lead you directly to Lisa, said Axe. Streets of Outer Sight C. As a brand new fight team, the Xtractors exited the facility through the hole in the wall near the rear of the laboratory. It's like a video game, said AFK as he gazed all around the futuristic-looking city. The trolley trains weren't attacked, said Carly. Some of the buildings got destroyed, said Juniper. There are weapons all over the city, said Eric.
G.E.Ms are sanitizing the area, said Sahara as G.E.Ms stood all around the city with high-tech weapons in their hands. Our mission, go in, extract Lisa, and return her back to Site C, said Franklin. At all cost, said Ryan.
Let's make the Conga Fairyens feel the burn, said Juniper.
We got this, said Carly.
Let's go, said AFK.
Extractions, said Eric.
Is what we do, said Sahara.
That's because we're the Xtractors, said Franklin.
Part 3 of Mysteries and Mayhem, Flicker. Coming soon. Did you enjoy Mysteries and Mayhem, Flicker Part 2?
I can't wait to read your cool comments in the comments section. A warm welcome goes out to all new subscribers and viewers to the channel.
If you really enjoyed the video, click the like button and share this video on your social media.
A great way to keep up to date with the fantastic comic book content on this channel is to click the bell notification icon.
Quick reminder. Mysteries and Mayhem, Flicker, Part 3. Coming soon. Thanks for watching.